Hey everyone, and welcome. You've probably heard the term circular economy thrown around a lot. Well, today we're going to move right past the buzzword and get into what it actually means as a powerful investment strategy. We're talking about a way to build economies that are not just greener, but way stronger and more inclusive. So let's jump in.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the problem, the limits of our current system. Then, we'll dive straight into the circular solution. After that, we'll explore how it makes our economies more resilient and maybe most importantly, how it drives real inclusive growth. And finally, we'll get practical and look at where the smart money is actually going. It's a journey from problem to, well, a pretty compelling solution.
So, let's start with what we all know, the linear economy. It's the system we grew up with, the classic take, make, waste model. But, this system is starting to show some serious cracks.
To kick things off, just look at this number, 3.8 billion tons. Just let that sink in for a moment. What on earth could that be?
That's how much trash we're on track to produce every single year by 2050. That's a 56% jump from 2020. It's just not sustainable. You don't have to be an economist to see that this path has a dead end.
And that mountain of waste? It's a direct result of this linear model. But the problem goes way beyond just landfills. This system, by its very design, makes our entire economy vulnerable. We're talking about crazy price swings for raw materials, supply chains that can snap at a moment's notice, and even getting caught up in geopolitical games.
Okay, so what's the alternative? This brings us to the circular solution. And let me be clear, this is about so much more than just putting your cans in the right bin. This is a complete rethink of how resources and value flow through our economy. And this really lays out the difference, doesn't it? The linear model is just a one-way street to the dump. Value gets destroyed. The circular model, on the other hand, is a loop. The whole game is to keep materials and value in play for as long as possible through reuse, recycling, repurposing. This is how you finally decouple economic growth from chewing up more and more of the planet.
Now let's talk about how this circular idea actually makes our economy tougher. In a world that feels increasingly unpredictable, creating these kinds of local loops isn't just a nice idea. It's a powerful defense strategy.
See, when you create these local loops for materials, you're building shorter, stronger, more reliable supply chains. Just think about it. What if your most important resources came from a facility right in your region, instead of a mine halfway across the globe? All of a sudden, you're not sweating shipping delays, trade wars, or wild price spikes nearly as much. It's like building a shock absorber right into the economy.
But here's where the story gets really compelling. The benefits of a circular economy are not just about spreadsheets and risk management. There's a huge human side to this, especially in developing countries, where it can be a total game changer for creating jobs and solving really tough community problems. Okay, here's another massive number for you, 15 to 20 million. What do you think that represents?
That is the number of people, right now, working as informal waste collectors, mostly in developing nations. Often these are incredibly dangerous, insecure jobs. But let's be real, these folks are the unsung heroes, the backbone of recycling in their communities. And this is exactly where smart investment can completely transform lives. So how does that actually happen? Well, you invest in modern recycling plants and material recovery facilities. This creates a direct pathway from that dangerous, informal work to a formal, stable job. You can hire and train those same local collectors become skilled plant operators and technicians. This isn't just a job, it's dignity. It's safety standards, healthcare, and a real chance to build a better life. This is what we mean by inclusive growth. And remember, this circular mindset isn't just about our trash. It's a powerful tool for other essential resources too, like water. In cities and regions facing severe water shortages, you can invest in advanced treatment and desalination plants that create a closed loop for water. It's the exact same principle. Stop the waste, capture the value, and build resilience for the community. Okay, so we've seen the environmental logic, the economic resilience, and the social impact. Now for the big question. If you're an investor, where do you actually put your capital to work? So where's the action? If you want to invest in this transition, where are the real opportunities? Generally, it boils down to three main areas. You've got the core infrastructure that makes it all possible. Then you have the services, like waste management, that actually keep that loop spinning. And finally, you have essential services, things like schools and hospitals, that can be built using circular principles right from the start.
Let's make this real. Take a company like Adaptio, which operates in that essential services bucket. They provide modular, reusable buildings for things like schools and healthcare centers. So, instead of building something and tearing it down, they deploy, adapt, and reuse their buildings over and over. Their customers are mostly stable, government-backed municipalities, and the buildings themselves have a 60% lower carbon footprint. It's a perfect blend of meeting a critical social need with a smart, sustainable business model.
And here's another one, Goodpack, from that second category. What do? They run a massive global fleet of tough, reusable steel shipping containers, and their whole model is pay-per-use, which gives companies a huge incentive to return and reuse them instead of just using disposable packaging. This is the kind of nuts and bolts logistics that makes the whole circular economy actually work at scale.
And I really want to drive this point home. We are not talking about speculative, high-risk startups here. These are fundamentally infrastructure investments. These companies provide essential, mission-critical services. And what does that mean? It means stable, predictable cash flows that are often linked to inflation. In a portfolio, these are the kind of solid, long-term, defensive plays you build a foundation on.
And that really brings us to the core thesis here, summed up perfectly by Goldman Sachs Asset Management. The circular economy is not just an environmental imperative. It is a strategic investment opportunity that we believe is poised to deliver substantial value for years to come.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. What is the real hidden cost of our take, make, waste habit? And more importantly, what incredible value for investors, for communities, and for the planet are we leaving on the table by not leaning into this circular future? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.